everyone. This is Kurt Reese. My channel is Israel Chat Bible, and we're back again. This is going to be a continuation from where we left off. We were talking about mainly Adam and the Word made flesh, and we have some other key points to get to. I want to read Genesis 1 and 4. And God saw the light, Israel saw the light, that it was good, and Israel divided the light from the darkness. Adam, you want to come in?
Hello.
Hello, Adam. So we're trying to develop more of this idea of who Adam is, and it's a very key point to understand that Adam is light and dark. I will get into some other verses, but this one here is probably one of the biggest ones.
Can you speak up a little bit more?
Oh, this is one of those key verses that really just, you have to cut through the symbolism and the metaphor and see what it's actually here and what it's actually saying. And everybody's, even some of the most basic beginner Bible readers have at least read that verse. They've read the first page of the Bible. So we're going to get into what the symbolism and metaphor is behind this verse.
Okay. I was hearing you talk about light and dark. Was there a question?
Genesis 1:4. And God saw the light, Israel saw the light, that it was good, and Israel divided the light from the darkness.
Okay. Is there a question for it?
Well, yeah, my question is more of how you and I talk to each other. Sometimes I put something and I want to know what the deep symbolism is in the metaphor, and a lot of people that maybe listen to this, they know what light and dark is, but they want to know what is the meaning behind this.
Okay. Well, the first thing is, anyone who's reading this part in Genesis should see that throughout the entire Bible, in Isaiah, Old Testament, and New Testament, even Emmanuel says he is the light. So the light is constantly repeated. So we know this is not some sun. We're not talking about the sun. We're talking about a group of people. Because if Emmanuel is saying he is the light, Moses is referred to as also being the light, a king of the light. And Emmanuel didn't claim he was the king, but he was referencing he was the king. This is explained in Revelation when anyone who reads about the 7 heads, technically 8 heads, because from the 7th comes an 8. So we can clearly see that Emmanuel, even though he didn't claim he was a king, he was known as a king. Even the Pharisees recognized, if you're the king of Israel, come off that cross. They didn't say if you're the king of Jews. They said if you're the king of Israel, come off that cross. Because Israel was a man's name. Israel is the name that the Father gave for an heir to Abraham's seed. And then going further back, did everything begin with Abraham? No. Abraham is the son of Noah. Go further back. Noah is a son of Enoch. Yes, I am not saying great-great-grandson, but it doesn't matter. It's just the great-great part, or great-grandson, in our culture just means how far removed of a son to this person that individual is. So Noah was a son of Enoch, and Enoch was a son of Adam. So everything traces back to Adam. Because Adam is the father of Israel. He's the father of Abraham. He's the father of Isaac. He's the father of Noah. And so on. He's the father of Jacob. He's the father of all. He's the father of Israel and Gentiles. So who is the dark? If Israel is the light, then who's the dark? Well, we recognize that as Cain. Cain hated Abel, and he had enmity, which is hatred, towards his brother Abel, and killed him. So we see right there the light and dark. Can you read, I think it's 14 real quick?
Yeah. God said, Israel said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and for years.
So right here, divide the day and night. So we understand that the day was not divided of light and dark in verse 4. There was no division, where there was no sun to give light unto anything.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not talking about creation, like in a scientific way, or talking about space at this point, because we're talking about people, light and dark as people. The greater light and lesser light, they're in the heavens. They're above the firmament, which is known as the sky. So we're not talking about sun and moon, we're talking about people. And again, this is referenced. Why then wouldn't it say Emmanuel is the greater light? What did he say in scripture? I am the greater light? No, he says, I am the light. And then talks about another temple, obviously another comforter, who will be this as well.
Yeah.
So we can see all the heads of Israel are the light. So all the heads of Gentile nations are darkness. This is, and it says, do not mingle with unbelievers. What does light have to do with darkness? Absolutely nothing. We're not talking about days here, because we know that the beginning of the night is morning. I mean, come on, folks, it's not by 12 o'clock on your clocks. This night is before 12 o'clock a.m.
Yeah, I think that's why people think that Emmanuel is the Father, because he says, I am the light of the world. And then they go back to this baby, and they miss Adam being the light.
Well, remember, he says, I and the Father are one. He's not referring to a deity. He's not referring to the Father as spirit. He's saying that there is one before Abraham, that he is.
Yeah.
So he's saying that Adam and I are one. Now, people may not get that, and they may say, because he wasn't talking about the God of the Pharisees. The Pharisees were worshiping a false father of spirit at this point. The Pharisees were not teaching, because otherwise the disciples would never have had so many questions for Emmanuel. They would have been prepared. All of Israel would have been prepared for the coming, because they were taught this this holiday by Moses, which was called Passover, which was a high priest would go pick out a lamb that was without spot or blemish. The high priest would ride on a donkey through Jerusalem while they were holding up the palms and saying, Hosanna, Hosanna, Lord, Lord in the highest, Lord, Lord in the Father. And then he would go up and have a goat on one side and the sheep on the other, the lamb on the other, and say, who are we to sacrifice? And the crowd, Moses taught this, and the crowd would say, sacrifice the lamb, sacrifice the lamb 3 times. And then the high priest would put the donkey, I forget, they would put like a crown of thorns on the goat. Not donkey, I'm sorry, on the goat. Put like a crown of thorns on the goat. And
it was like a string around its neck or something.
Well, it was something that represented.
They would lead them out to the woods, right?
Yeah. And then it would sprinkle something like that that was like blood, showing like making the goat take the sins
Yeah.
of the children of Israel, but it also, what it had around its neck or whatnot, represented a crown of thorn kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because the lamb was killed and it was in the oven for 3 days. And then they took it out. And remember, all the children of Israel did not eat lusciously. They did not enjoy the food like this world does now. Remember, everything was burnt offerings. They had to eat everything, every animal, in a way of it being burnt. No one likes eating burnt food, right? They were not cooking it to make it, oh, medium rare, rare,
I
or
always thought it was just meant well done.
no, it was burnt offering.
Yeah.
That means it was cooked to where there was no blood. It was all completely cooked. And it was not, the children of Israel were not to enjoy the food. Think about it. This is why, folks, the children of Israel were jealous and envied and desired the ways of Gentiles. Because it was the Gentiles that are eating and choosing the food of how to cook it and eating in all these ways. And the children of Israel more and more desired that kind of life. And that's why in the end they got scattered off to the Gentiles.
Yeah.
So we have to understand in Scripture there was a certain way the children of Israel were living and eating and how they were had to do according to the way to the Father. He wasn't giving them a luscious, enjoyable way of living. No, it was hard. But anyways, the point is, if we understand the holiday of the Passover, we can see the actual physical event played out when Emmanuel rode on the donkey and they said, sacrifice Emmanuel 3 times, let Barabbas go. And then Emmanuel was, offered up. He was slain, just like the high priest would kill the lamb. Yeah, he wasn't cut in the throat, but he was crucified in his wrist and his foot. Now, wrist at the time in the old ways was known as part of the hand. It wasn't until around, I think, Great Britain when they started to recognize the wrist was part of the arm instead of the hand. But before then, the wrist was known as part of the hand. And he was in the cave for 3 days, right?
Yeah.
Same as how long the lamb was cooked. So we can see this reenactment of everything Moses taught as a festival, as a holiday, as a feast, are reenactments of an actual event that has played out or will play out. I believe the last one we're looking at is the trumpets.
Yeah.
So I believe the trumpet holiday was coming around the corner now. Everything else has played out.
Yeah. Now,
Oh,
isn't that holiday coming in very soon? Or?
yeah. And then the first fruits is also coming to be played out too, because the first fruits must come back.
Okay.
So all these are not to be taught for the world to make as a tradition. Even the Sabbath people mess up because it's not to be taught as a tradition to not use water, to not use any kind of lighting. These were ways to prepare you for one day out of the week to cut yourself off from your sinful desires, the desires of the unbelievers that you're surrounded by, to not go outside and to mingle. For that one day, you were supposed to prepare for what is known as the rest of your life when he comes. Because every day is to be a Sabbath.
Mm-hmm.
So the Sabbath itself is to prepare you. Remember, one day is as 1,000 years. So in Genesis, is saying the Sabbath is the 7th day, then we're not talking about one day within the 1,000-year period. We're talking about the Lord's Day being 1,000 years and even more without end.
Yeah.
So we know the Sabbath is known by another name, which is the Lord's Day. One may ask, how is this all linked to Adam? Without Adam, you wouldn't even have Seth. You wouldn't have Noah. You wouldn't have the building blocks that built upon another stone that's built upon another stone to create Israel. You even have Abraham. So we have to understand that the Father designed.
Cornerstone itself is an idea of building a foundation.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you have a wall, any, stone. I mean, it all applies to a building. It's not just like a stone laying off in the field. It is a cut stone that holds weight and is a foundation stone. And you want me to read a verse, Romans?
Sure.
As it is written, behold, I lay in Israel a stumbling stone, a rock of offense, and whoever believeth on him shall not be ashamed. Now there it's called a stumbling stone, because we know that the cornerstone was rejected, it was forgotten. So it becomes a rock of offense and a stumbling stone. So we have forgotten. Forgot Adam.
Now hold on. You said in Israel lays what?
A stumbling stone, a rock of offense.
Now folks, we have to understand that if it's laid in Israel, that means it's preserved in Israel. So if Israel is scattered onto the nation, scattered and lives among Gentiles, then we have to understand how does Israel become a mother of harlots? How does Israel become an offense, a mocking to the Gentile nations? Because it says in scriptures that the Gentiles will pass by Israel, they will mock Israel, they will laugh at Israel because they don't need to respect Israel, they don't need to fear Israel at that point. So the only time that they didn't fear Israel was in the beginning during the time of Rome, and then from then on, because Israel became a laughing joke. And even to this day, Israel is not known. We're not talking about Israel as a nation. We're talking about Israel as a people. So a group of people should be calling themselves Israel, not Jews, not Christian, not Catholic. The word Jew is not the same thing as Israel, because if it was, it would tell us that the Father changed Abraham's grandson to the name Jew. He changed the name to Israel, and it was always known by Israel, even during the time of Moses, during the time of Solomon, even to the prophets. It was never known by any other name except for Israel. So we know that the children of Israel, it doesn't say the children of Jews, does it?
No, it doesn't.
It says the children of Israel.
And it doesn't call them Hebrews either.
No.
People say that. That's a language, not a people. Sorry, I cut you off.
So right there we can understand that how has Israel become a stumbling block? Because Psalms 83 verse 4, they have come together to have one mind, the Gentiles, to cut Israel off from being a mighty nation, which is what makes up any nation, people. So again, no nation is called a name without the people who take on that nation. America is not called America without the people called American. America. Germany is the people called German for Germany. So people would have called them Israelites for Israel.
Yeah.
But again, these are slang terms. It was always known by being the name Israel. So we have to understand that names have history. So Adam has a history to it.
So yeah, when he divided the light in the dark. We know that he established through Abraham his seed. So he was establishing a pathway of his seed becoming the light of the world. And then they were supposed to be the light of the world, but they turned away from that and mingled with the darkness, and then the light becomes no more light.
Well, wait a minute, brother. Did that what you're talking about happen during the time of Noah? As the days of Noah, so will be the last days. So was it Seth a seed of light? Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
And he mingled with the darkness, which were the children of Cain, by taking on the daughters.
Yeah. Yeah, we talked about a little bit about that in the last video. Oh, you're there you go.
So we have to understand that if it says as the days of Noah, so will be the last days, then we know that the warning was given, do not mingle with the unbelievers who are darkness. Israel is light. So we understand that the children of Israel, which were known as the children of Seth during the days of Noah, went down onto the daughters of Cain, the children of Cain, who were the darkness, mingled, and then the whole land became polluted and desolate. And then there was great judgment. I mean, again, everything that happened during the time of Noah is to repeat, but in a different manner in our time. So what happened? The children of Israel mingled with the Gentiles. And now we have the world we live in. And no one really uses the name Israel as the foundation.
This is Craig Reese. Welcome to my channel, Israel Chat Bible. We are going to be joined today by Adam and Arthur, who are going to join me live here on our channel. And we're going to have a Bible discussion, probably talk about some of the things we were talking about recently. It was about Adam and cornerstone and light and the dark. Adam, Arthur, please come in.
Hello.
Hello. Hi.
Hello.
So yeah, I'm in Ohio. They're in California. So hopefully we can bring everybody together in this nation, coast to coast. Israel rising. So I guess my question will just jump back into where we were. Cornerstone is a foundational stone, and Emmanuel refers to himself as a cornerstone. Isaiah refers to a cornerstone. But Emmanuel also says that upon this rock I will build my people. Church is a people. So you want to talk about that verse at all?
Sure, but I think we should start at the beginning with Genesis.
Okay. You want me to read Genesis 1:4 again, or something different?
Yeah, 1:4. For the people who will see this for the first time.
Okay. And Israel saw the light, that it was good, and Israel divided the light from the darkness.
So right here and then 14.
14. And Israel said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and years.
So right there, we know that Emmanuel was not referring to himself as being a greater light or a sun. Actually, he says under the sun there is nothing new. There is nothing new under the sun. So we see that right here in Genesis, the word greater light ends up being changed through science terms to being sun. And the lesser
one. You want me to read that one?
Sure.
God made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day and the lesser light to rule the night. He made the stars also.
Yeah, so as I was saying, we see that the greater light and lesser light were changed in the Bible to the word that we know now as sun and moon. So right here's the change. And he says in the New Testament, there is nothing new under the sun. So he doesn't refer to himself as being the sun. He refers to himself as being the light.
Yes.
So in Genesis, in verse 4, it's saying that the Father made the light and dark. Now, how is this possible? What happens here? Well, when we understand the story behind Adam, and then Eve comes from Adam, then we also see a fragment of light and dark here too. Because through Eve, Adam was tested. He could not be tested if there was no darkness. And Eve was the dark for Adam. And Adam was tested. And it says that in Judges chapter 3, verse 1, where it says that Israel is tested to prove that they are the light, they are Israel. So Adam was tested.
The light has to basically follow a different way of living. Light has to be a light to the world, not just mingling in. And when after Emmanuel was crucified, the light was dispersed among the nations. But this light has to kind of come back together and become a nation again, right?
Yeah, because the light was scattered onto the darkness. The darkness is known as the Gentiles, and during the days of Noah, the darkness was known as the children of Cain, and the light was known as the children of Seth. And as it says, as we talked about in our previous video, as the days of Noah, so will be our time, we see that the light mingled with the darkness. And it says in the New Testament, it gives a warning, what does light have to do with darkness? Nothing. Do not mingle with the unbelievers who are the darkness. So we see a constant pattern here. We're not talking about the sun and moon. We're talking about people.
So somebody says, I've seen the light. They're not seeing the sun shine through the window.
Correct. They're saying that they're referencing Israel.
Israel don't rise up.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you remember a movie called Blues Brothers. You remember that one with John Belushi?
Briefly.
Well, he was in the church, and the choir was singing, the gospel was going, and a light shined through this, stained glass window and shone on him, and he was like, I've seen the light, and he starts doing flips through the church and stuff. That's what most people think of as the light.
No, because it goes back to, it's sad that we think this now. We're so polluted in our time, because the light, it says in Genesis, Psalms 83 verse 4, they have said, let's cut them off for being a nation. Well, what makes a nation? What makes a kingdom? People. Without people, there is no nation. There is no kingdom.
Yeah.
So the kingdom and nation only has a name because of the people that are known there. So we're known as Americans because we're in America. So
we've seen the sun, we've seen the moon, but we have not seen what true light is yet in this world.
Correct. So what I'm trying to say is, if you're known as Americans and you live in America, then the nation is called Israel because you're known as the children of Israel. So the difference was the name of Israel, that is singular, is referencing as a nation or kingdom, or the last name of the Father. But then when he's talking about the people, he calls them the children of Israel, or the remnant of Israel, to show this difference between the people that are within the nation, because it's his kingdom. If it's his kingdom, then he's known by a name. Again, this goes back to Psalms 83 verse 4. They have said, let's cut them off from being a nation, who's not us, Gentiles, darkness, cut them, Israel, the light, off from being a nation, a great and mighty nation, that the name of Israel is no more remembered. So, folks, we have to understand, how is Israel not being remembered? We're not talking about Israel as in the Middle East. We're talking about Israel as how they are living a certain way based on the laws of Moses and the commandments of Moses that the Father gave through Moses, who is a prophet, and all the other prophets before Moses and after Moses. So that includes Adam. Because it says not to Adam, have great dominion and subdue all things. So that's the cornerstone. That's the place where we see that the blessings are built upon. It starts with Adam.
So this is the nation talking about.
The people that make up the kingdom. The kingdom that comes down, the kingdom that is built, is the nation, is the people. Because we're not talking about a nation being built of stone. We're talking about the temple, the body. So every single individual person is a nation, is of a nation.
Well, that was what was promised to Abraham, that through his seed would come a mighty nation. And then the promise given to Jacob when his name was changed to Israel says you will be a king among nations. It says prince. We know that is not true. It should be king. And then they will bow to you. Yeah, nations. We don't think of nations as bowing, but this is on another level. Israel right now doesn't have anybody bowing to them.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have a king. They don't have a king either. They got a president, maybe. Yeah.
But they still kill each other.
What would this king look like? What would this king be? I mean, people, come on, use your brains. You think he's gonna look like Putin or something? I don't know what you think that king is gonna be. If he's the king of the whole earth. Of course, they're gonna recognize him over there, and then everybody else is saying, well, they are worshiping the Antichrist.
But that's going on everywhere.
That's gonna happen.
I mean, that's happening.
That's prophesized to happen.
Are you hearing?
I hear, yeah. It's just a little muddled. How do I sound?
Huh?
Can you repeat what you said?
Oh, I said that's going on right now, though.
Yeah, they're preparing a temple. I mean, it's the head, the king of Israel, will be in the temple and declare himself king, and everybody else in the world is going to call it the Antichrist because they don't know the true king. They don't know the light. Because all they do is serve the dark. That's where they're getting back to where they were. Yeah, they'll have some nations that will give themselves over for a time.
So let's clarify something here. What Israel as the nation of Israel in our time is, even though it's known by a name Israel, these people are not actually living according to the commandments, not living according to the law.
Yeah.
Because what are they doing? They're still bowing to a wall. They're bowing to a remnant of a temple and not recognizing that the temple is the body. Now there's the Messianic, and the Messianic are the ones that are closest to being true children of Israel, but they still recognize themselves as Jews, not as recognizing themselves as Israel.
So that separation has not happened yet.
Yeah. And then, people are still killing each other everywhere in the world, but not supposed to be, because before the flood, there was widespread killing death. And it tells us, if we read Leviticus 26, he talks about how he makes, the Father himself will make your life hard, will make it troublesome. You know, you not enjoy your offspring. And your offspring, you're to sacrifice them unto the devil. So the devils are the teachers in your school. The false priests. These are all known as the devil, because the word devil and Satan, by definition, means enemy. You can't be an enemy to the Father unless you are breaking his laws and commandments.
Yeah.
So how is Israel right now in the Middle East truly following the ways of the prophets? If they're truly Israel, you would have heard on the news what COVID-19 was. They would have been shouting up, jumping up and down, saying, repent, repent, like John the Baptist. They would have been saying, repent, for judgment is at hand. You don't hear them saying on the news. You don't hear them calling on to the children of Israel from among the nations to come and live in that land. No, they are making money in that land through tourism and through LGBT and all this other crap, the sinfulness, that these are not Israel. These were children of Israel, true children of Israel, really. They would have done a purge to not only be the guide for all the nations to be a light, which we're going to get into. There's a verse that says, light of the world, to be a guide. And they're not doing it. They're living in prosperity, working with Gentile nations to earn money. They're not cutting them off. They're not being a
That's what I was
solo
trying to
nation.
point out. I mean, Israel is light. Israel is the light of the world.
Mm-hmm.
You can look at that country, even though they have that name, and see that they're not the light to the world.
What is that verse?
Let me go. I think it's Matthew. Matthew 5:14. Ye are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hid.
Can you repeat that again?
Ye, Y-E, ye are the light of the world. A city, which is again people or a nation, that is set on a hill and cannot be hid. Sorry.
Can you go to the next one?
Neither do men light a candle and put it under a bushel, but on a candlestick, and it giveth light unto all that are in the house. Let your light so shine before men, that they may see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven.
So right here, light to shine before the Gentiles, before the darkness. I mean, what's the light shining onto? It's shining onto the darkness. So the word men in that verse is Gentile, that they may see your good works, your righteous works. Now, works without faith is dead. Faith without works is dead. So the faith is to believe in the King of Israel. That's the faith, and the works is to follow the works of the King of Israel. And it says to glorify your Father, which is he's not in heaven, he's in the body. Didn't Emmanuel keep on repeating this over and over and over about the temple is the body, the temple is the body? He lives within the body, and the body is known by what name? These people are known by what name? Israel. How can he declare he's the King of Israel if there's not people that call themselves Israel?
Yeah, and then he says right after that, think not that I come to destroy the law or the prophets. I am come to destroy but fulfill. For verily I say unto you, till heaven and earth pass, one jot or one tittle shall in no wise pass from the law to all be fulfilled.
Again, heaven and earth is not known as heaven and earth. We're not talking about a whole new earth. You have the rainbow. He said because of the rainbow, the earth will not be destroyed, so we're not talking about new earth. Get a grip, people. Learn to read the Bible if you're going to preach. Otherwise, don't even get into the kitchen because the fire's going to get too hot to burn you. So the earth is known as a people which are known by the word world and nations. These mean Gentiles. So heaven means Israel. So it's saying, verily I say unto you, until the children of Israel and the Gentiles pass one jot or one tittle, so one law or one commandment shall in no wise pass from the law. So right there, no single word shall be removed. So right here, no new covenant. Is the same. Shall no wise pass from the law from Moses, that Moses brought down from Mount Sinai. The 10 commandments, not commandments, the 10 laws.
Yeah.
Till all be fulfilled. He did not fulfill anything. He gave you a sign, because if he was to fulfill something, why would he say, I must go to the Comforter come?
And he gave you right before that to be a light. And then he's telling you to be the light, you have to do the laws and commandments.
Can we go to that one in Isaiah?
All right.
I know that there's a couple in there.
I don't know if I'm going to the one you want, though.
Well, they all connect.
All right, I'm going to go to the one about the serpent. Is that where you wanted to go?
Yeah. We'll start there.
All right.
What chapter and verse?
I was going to go to Isaiah 45:4. All right, it says Jacob here. I'm going to make it Israel. For Israel, my servant's sake, and Israel, mine elect, I have even called thee by thy name. I have surnamed thee, though thou hast not known me.
Mm-hmm.
You want me to keep reading?
Sure, if you think that people understand.
I am Israel, the Father. There is none else. There is no God beside me. I girded thee, though thou hast not known me.
Now, girded means to clothe. How did he clothe Israel? He's not talking about clothing. He clothed Israel by giving the laws and commandments.
Yeah.
No, by giving the laws and commandments. Preaching is at work. Preaching means you're a guide. You can't be a guide if you don't have laws and commandments.
And then shortly after that, verse 7, it says, I form the light and create darkness. I make peace and create evil. I am Israel, the Father. Do all these things. It says more in Israel.
So right here, we see he creates sin. I make mercy, which is salvation, and create sin, which is judgment. I mean, there is no Satan here. There is no devil, which we talked about in the video before. There is no Satan here. There is no devil. He's saying he works both light and dark. So again, how was this manifested? In the beginning is Adam. I mean, what's the point of Adam? Just to be tossed away, to be spoken of as a legend or a myth, and then to be hated on and then forgotten? I mean, you folks hate on Judas, yet you don't recognize that if Judas betrayed the Father, how did he betray the Father? He betrayed the Father by breaking the commandment. Because what did Emmanuel say to everyone? He said, do not tell anyone who I am until I am gone. Yeah. He gave that commandment in front of everyone around the fire when he asked everyone, who do you think I am? And Peter said, you are the son of Adam. Man, son of Adam. So Peter recognized without understanding it, that Emmanuel was also Adam, because Emmanuel was not just a son of Adam. He and Adam, who is the father of all flesh. The father of all, I mean, we take on the flesh of Adam. We take on the bone of Adam. We take on the blood of Adam. Did Emmanuel do this in Mary's womb? Yeah. He took on the flesh, blood, and bone of Adam through Mary.
Mhm.
And he's saying, I am the father of all flesh, blood, and bone, which is Adam, are one. And the Pharisees could not comprehend this. They were thinking, oh, he's saying that he and our God are one. How blasphemous. Well, come on, people. The Pharisees didn't even recognize the true Father. So,
Yeah.
we're
He didn't even recognize the works that he was doing.
correct.
That he had a devil in him.
Evilness, right? I create evil. They thought he had evilness. Didn't you just read that the Father?
Yeah. So they were trying to make him out to be a devil. And that's obviously
an anti.
an anti. So back to what I was saying is, no sign is given, but there will be a day where a man will rise up and be called again, repeat, a devil. I'm sure there's people in Egypt that called Moses a devil.
Mm-hmm.
They could not recognize what was happening before them. They just saw their children.
Hold on. Arthur wanted to comment. Go ahead.
Oh, you said,
No, it's in Egypt. Egypt.
You still say that?
Well, if
No,
you don't
no.
have an understanding of the light, you're going to call it evil. You're going to call it a devil. Because you don't
So, hold
know.
on. So you have to recognize the Egyptians to this day do not recognize that the children of Israel was in that land. They will still claim that they were never in Goshen. To this day, yes, the Egyptians will claim the children of Israel were not in Egypt. So clearly they hate Israel. They wanted to erase any remnants of Israel being in Egypt. That's what the Egyptians have done throughout the years and centuries. So think about it. You have a guy that's coming into Egypt and who has a stick and he is giving you warnings and then he does these plagues onto you. Wouldn't you call that person evil in the eyes of the Gentiles? Yeah, you would call that guy evil because and then he says the last plague is your firstborn sons will die. I mean, and then your firstborn sons die. I mean, wouldn't you say that guy is bringing a curse upon your nation of evil? So the Gentiles never recognized that the Father's works were evil. I mean, they called it evil, but they didn't recognize it was judgment. It was wrath onto them for not following his warning and his commandment. So that's why the Egyptians hated Moses and didn't listen to Moses until it was done. But then what did they do? They chased after the children of Israel to what? Either kill them or enslave them again. Why do you think they were chasing after them?
He told Pharaoh to go get them because they didn't want to do the work that Israel was doing. They were their workmen, their slaves.
Well, no, it was also to kill the Egyptians because they threw the firstborn. They threw male sons into the water, and if it wasn't for Moses being put the way he was in the water on the type of basket, he would have drowned. So obviously, again, this is the father who's tormenting his own seed, who he declares is the light, because they were being disobedient. They were starting to enjoy the ways of Egyptians after Joseph died. So because they threw the sons, now again, this is all talked about in the book of Jasher, what I'm saying as well. And then because they threw their sons, the male sons in the water, the father killed the Egyptians in the water when Moses passed through the sea. And then the sea engulfed on them and killed them.
Yes. Yes. They were, like I said, I jumped from Emmanuel to Moses because, again, we are talking again about the heads, which is a whole other subject, but they will call the eighth head evil, which is to come, evil.
Go ahead.
Oh yeah, they'll call him evil and say that he is speaking lies and darkness.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know the truth, so they're going to call what is true dark and evil. And they love words like Satan and Lucifer. But what I just read here in Isaiah says, I create the light and the dark. I make the peace, mercy, and create evil, judgment, sin. He does all these things. So Isaiah he called it. I can't say it any better than that.
Yeah, there is no room for a devil or Lucifer or Satan. Now, it goes further. It goes further into saying how in Genesis, thy head should receive a fatal wound. And then if we go to Revelation, the seventh head, it says one of the heads receives, Genesis says a bruise, but in Revelation it says a wound, a fatal wound, and then the head is healed. So right there, we're talking about the crucifixion. And then what did Emmanuel say? That in 3 days he'll rebuild the temple. He's not talking about temple of stone, because it says, I dwell not in the temple made by man's hands, but in his hand. So we're talking about the flesh, blood, and bone, because he made Adam with his own hand. Come on, folks. Adam was not made from a woman's womb. He was made from the literal spirit. And then the spirit dwelled within Adam. So therefore, Adam is the Father himself. Emmanuel came from a womb, showing to everyone that they forgot about Adam, and now they worship Emmanuel by saying, "Oh, he is the first Adam," and then there'll be the second Adam, the second coming, because the first coming was Emmanuel. No, the first coming was Adam.
Yeah. Emmanuel was the seventh coming.
Correct.
And then from the seven, which is the seventh would be Emmanuel, comes an eighth. They're all part of the same head, which is Adam. I know this for some people. I mean, if they've looked at Revelation and marveled at, like, what is this trying to say? I mean, that's what it's talking about Israel. It's not talking about kings of Gentiles.
And then, what's the other Isaiah verse?
You got to give me more than that. I don't know what you're talking about.
Wasn't there one in 49?
Yeah. I got 49, 6 written down.
Yeah.
And he said, it is a light thing that thou shouldest be my servant to raise up the tribes, it says Jacob, Israel again, and to restore the preserved of Israel. And I will also give thee for a light to the Gentiles, that thou mayest be my salvation unto the end of the earth.
I mean, done deal. That is the light. And it is the light, ye are the light of the world. Israel is the ye in Matthew. The light of the world is the Gentiles.
Mm-hmm.
Tribes, there is no tribes, there is only children of Israel. That the children of Israel to restore the preserved, the lost sheep, folks. Everyone's trying to say, well, the lost sheep is a tribe. No. The lost sheep is the remnant, meaning when the king comes back, he's gonna gather his people, and that's a done deal. It's a wrap, as they say, because the Gentiles will be judged forever.
Yeah. I did want to read this one too, real quick. Isaiah 42:16.
42:16.
Yeah. And I will bring blind by a way that they know not. I will lead them in paths that they have not known. I will make darkness light before them and crooked things straight. These things will I do unto them and not forsake them.
Right there. I mean, he makes the Gentiles, or the dark, into Israel, the light. I mean, that's the resurrection, folks. That's the great baptism.
Yes.
Of the top, right? Of the steep.
Yeah. Because the resurrection, right here, there's no rapture. In the one that you just talked about with Isaiah, the preserved of Israel, and this one, there is no rapture. There is no going up into a heaven. It's all about gathering the people through a word, through a seed of Adam coming to teach what was lost, gathering his people, those that hear me, and then building a great mighty nation to cover the entire world.
And I'm also going to read Isaiah 45.
That might be it.
Okay, 45:17 through 19. But Israel shall be saved in Israel, says Lord, with an everlasting salvation. Ye shall not be ashamed nor confounded, world without end.
So the children of Israel shall be resurrected in the King of Israel. Wow, with an everlasting covenant? Wow, that's the new covenant that was prophesied in the New Testament. And ye shall not be ashamed. Ye, O Israel, ye shall not be ashamed. Confounded. So right there, ye shall not be ashamed, nor enslaved, confounded. World without end. So he's saying the way that you're going to be scattered into the nations, you're going to be enslaved, you're going to be in darkness. But O Israel, it's not going to last forever. It will feel like a world without end. It will not be forever. You will rise. That's what that's saying. Go ahead for the next one.
For thus saith Israel that created the heavens, Israel himself that formed the earth and made it, he hath established it, he hath created it not in vain. He formed it to be inhabited. I am Israel, and there is none else.
So let me reread that one. For thus saith Israel the king that created you could say outer space and the sky. Israel the king himself that formed the earth, which is all the land and the sea and all the creatures, including Adam, including all of us in flesh, and made it and hath established it. What is it here? Are we talking about the earth? No. Are we talking about the heavens? No. We're talking about Israel. Read the verse before. It's clearly talking about Israel, world without end. So that and formed the earth formed the earth, also could be used as Gentiles, and made Israel. He hath established the children of Israel. He created the children of Israel not in vain. Folks, right there, anyone that denies the name, it tells you in Genesis. Anyone that blesses the name shall be blessed. Anyone that curses the name shall be cursed. Isaiah says this to his son before he sends him off. So clearly, not in vain. I mean, if you blaspheme the name of Israel, this is the great blasphemy of the Holy Spirit. So if you keep saying Christ and you don't say Israel, I'm sorry, folks, you are on that path of destruction. Because you are calling that Christians and Catholics and all these other house names, denominations, Jews including, are to be the salvation, the light. No, it gave you a name. He gave you a name. He gave us the name Israel. He formed the children of Israel.
This chapter a little bit.
Huh?
There's some other good verses right after this.
Okay. Well, hold on. He formed the children of Israel to be inhabited. He formed the promised land. I am Israel the king, and there is none else. Right there, he is the only king of these people. There is no other king. Go ahead.
I also just wanted to read 20 real quick, because it says, "Assemble yourselves and come, draw near together." This is the remnant coming together.
Mm-hmm.
"Ye that are escaping the nations, they have no knowledge, that set up the wood of their graven image, and pray unto a God that cannot save."
You can't save Emmanuel, but then you still pray on to this figure that you acknowledge named Jesus Christ. You can't save him. So clearly, the Savior is coming in a vessel that is here, that's going to come to save you, and that you can actually help this vessel. So again, Emmanuel was the sign, yet you're worshiping the sign instead of recognizing the sign to prepare for what is to come.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Yeah, if he says, "I knew you before you were when you were formed in your mother's womb," we're talking about the source knows all things. And then you want to carry around and put a cross around your neck. I mean, that is the dumbest thing you can do. You're taking a God that forms you in the womb and wearing a cross of gold around your neck.
Mm-hmm.
That you're doing idolatry. If anything, you should worship the womb or something. You've completely lost what's going on here.
Because you're not recognizing the body as the sign. It's the image. He says, "I create Adam in my image." Man, Adam.
But what happened on the cross? He got crucified. He died. And he knows he forms you in your mother's womb. I mean, we're talking about life, light, and death, darkness. You are in darkness if you worship that cross. Totally.
Right there.
And you can't see it. You're blind, and I can't help.
Or a wailing wall. Whether it be a cross or a wall or a statue, you're still in the same boat.
And then you'll make an idol out of Mary. And yes, he did come through Mary, but who formed the womb? Who created it in the womb? The Father himself, the Spirit himself.
Which started from Adam. Because Mary is a daughter of Adam.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, everybody. We'll see you on the flip side. Bye.
The first Noel, the angels did say, was to certain poor shepherds in fields as they lay, in fields where they lay keeping their sheep on a cold winter's night that was so deep. Noel, 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 born is the King of Israel. They looked up and saw a star shining in the east, beyond them far, and to the earth it gave great light, and so it continued both day and night. Noel, 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 born is the King of Israel. Noel, 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 born is the King of Israel. And by the light of that same star, 3 wise men came from country far to seek for a king was their intent, and to follow the star wherever it went. Noel, 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 born is the King of Israel. Noel, 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 born is the King of Israel. Born is the King of Israel. O come, Emmanuel, and ransom captive Israel that mourns in lonely exile here, until the Son of God appear. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come to thee, O Israel. O come, thou day spring, come and cheer our spirits by thine advent here. Disperse the gloomy clouds of night, and death's dark shadows put to flight. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come to thee, O Israel. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come to thee, O Israel.